This is Hermes Agent. It's running on my machine right now. It writes its own instructions, it remembers who I am, it runs jobs while I'm asleep, and it messages me on Telegram when it's done. And almost nobody using it knows what half of it does. So here's every Hermes concept in plain English, none of them longer than a minute. 25 of them stacked. The basics first, then the ones that make it run without you. Stick to the end and you'll understand this thing better than most people who installed it months ago. You already know chatbots. You type, they type back. Really good ones can search the web now, but they live in a browser tab, and when you close the tab, nothing happened. Hermes is not that. It's an autonomous agent. It lives on a machine, it has hands, and it keeps running, even if you're not there. It can read your files, write files, run commands, send messages, and hold a job over hours. And it isn't just a coding assistant either. It's not stuck inside a code editor. It runs your business admin just as happily as it runs your terminal. I'm kicking off a real job right now. It's gonna take most of this video. We'll come back to it at the end and see what it produced. A chatbot just answers you, and an agent goes and does the thing, and it's still doing it after you've walked away. So where do you actually talk to it? Hermes runs in a terminal. Yes, that black screen. And I know how that looks, but you need about 4 commands total. You type Hermes to start it. Then you talk to it in plain English. No syntax, no code. Go through this folder and tell me what's in it. That's a valid command. There's also a second interface called the TUI. TUI. Same agent, nicer window. You get a live view of what it's typing, a status bar, and an overlay showing you when it spawns helpers. If the raw terminal feels hostile, start there. This is the single biggest reason people bounce off Hermes Agent in the first 10 minutes. And it's a 15-minute problem, not a real one. You don't need terminal skills. You need one command to start it and plain English after that. Next, the part everyone gets confused by, Hermes doesn't come with a brain. Hermes is the body, not the brain. You have to plug a model into it. That model can come from News Portal, that's the first party option, or OpenRouter, your ChatGPT login, Anthropic, Google, or a model running locally on your own machine, which means your data never leaves the building. The portal route is the fastest and it's free to start. One login gets you a model plus web search, image generation, text-to-speech, and browser control in a single subscription, instead of you collecting 4 API keys. This choice sets both your monthly bill and your privacy posture. It's worth 10 minutes of thought, not just 10 seconds. So Portal, if you want to work it today, free. OpenRouter, if you want to shop for models. Local, if the data can't leave your machine. And your ChatGPT subscription, if you want the easiest all-in-one option. This brings up the question everybody asks me first. What does this actually cost to run? 2 things drive your bill. How much you send the model and how often. Everything the agent can see at once, your message, the files it read, its own instructions, is the context window. It's finite. Fill it up and quality quietly drops. It starts losing track of things you told it earlier. Hermes handles a lot of this for you. It compresses long conversations and it caches the parts that don't change. Your instructions, your loaded skills, so you're not paying full price to resend the same block every single turn. This is the part I got wrong for weeks. I ran one enormous session for days and wondered why it got dumber. Start fresh sessions per job. It's free and it works. More on sessions coming up. One bloated, always-on session can multiply your monthly spend for worse output. So one session, one job. Long sessions cost more and think worse. So what can it actually do? That is tools. Tools are the agent's hands. Reading files, writing files, running shell commands, searching the web, browsing a page, generating an image, sending a message. There are 60 plus of them built in. You don't tell it which tool to use. You describe the outcome and Hermes picks. They come grouped into tool sets, and here's the part almost nobody does. You can switch whole groups off. If this agent has no business touching a browser, kill the browser toolset. Fewer tools means a cleaner, cheaper, and safer agent. And honestly, a smarter one, because it isn't choosing from a menu of things it'll never need. Every tool you leave on is a capability someone could talk your agent into using. Turn off every toolset the job doesn't need. Prune first and add later. Next, what happens to all of this when you close the window? Every conversation you have with Hermes is saved. You close the terminal, you come back tomorrow, resume, and it's exactly where you left it. But the useful part is search. Hermes indexes every session you've ever had, full text, and can search across all of them. What was that Docker fix from 3 weeks ago? It'll find it and summarize it back to you. And if you're talking to it from Telegram as well as the terminal, those are tracked separately, so your phone conversation doesn't get tangled up in your desktop one. Every problem you've already solved with this thing stays solved. You stop paying twice for the same answer. Resume for continuing, and search for remembering. Now the concept I'd want you to get right before you let it near anything real. This thing runs real commands on a real machine, so there's a gate. Dangerous operations stop and ask you first. You see exactly what it wants to run before it runs. Second, if you've connected it to Telegram or Slack, only users you've explicitly authorized can talk to it. Otherwise, anyone who finds your bot owns your machine. And third, if you want a hard wall, you can run the whole thing inside a container so it can't reach your real file system at all. I keep approvals on, not because I don't trust the model, because I don't trust my own prompts at 11 at night. This is the difference between an agent that saves you a day and one that costs you a weekend of restores. Approvals on, authorize users locked down, and container if it's touching anything you can't afford to lose. So that's the machine. You know what it is, how to talk to it, what it costs, and how to keep it in its lane. But right now, it's generic. It doesn't know you, your business, or how you like things done. That's the next 7. If your business already has leads, clients, tasks, or follow-ups falling through the cracks, don't start by buying another AI tool. Start by mapping the bottleneck. I work with business owners to build AI systems around the highest leverage workflow first. If that's what you need, book a consulting call below. And if you're still in learning mode and want the templates, workflows, and breakdowns behind these videos, the school community is linked below as well. One file holds your settings, model, provider, keys, which tools load, and how approvals behave. You'll barely ever open it by hand. You can just tell Hermes, turn off the browser toolset and show me the change before you save it, and it'll edit its own config. But you should know it exists, because when something behaves strangely, this is where the answer is. 10 minutes here is the difference between an agent tuned to your work and a default one. One file, one source of truth. Let the agent edit it, but read the change. Config is what it does. Next is what it knows about you. Every time it starts working in a folder, Hermes looks for a context file and reads it before it does anything. That's where your standing instructions go. This is a client project. Never touch the live database. Always write in British English. Our brand voice is direct, no exclamation marks. It reads several formats, its own plus the ones other agents use. So if you've already written instructions for another tool, they carry over. This is the highest leverage file you will ever write. Every rule you put in is a correction you never type again. Write it once and it applies in every conversation in that project forever. That's the rules. Next is the voice. Context files say what to do. Soul.md says who it is. It's a global personality file. Tone, how blunt it should be, whether it explains its reasoning or just answers. Mine is told to stop hedging and never open a reply by telling me what a great question I've asked. There are built-in personalities you can switch between, and you can write your own. This is cosmetic. It will not make the agent smarter, but you're going to read thousands of its messages, and an agent that talks the way you think is one you'll actually keep using. Adoption is the whole game. Tools you find annoying don't get used. Context files for rules, Soul for voice. Don't put rules in Soul. Now, everything so far, you wrote. This next one, it writes about you. Hermes keeps 2 files it maintains itself. One is general memory, facts and decisions worth keeping. The other is a model of you specifically, how you work, what you've told it about yourself, and what you keep asking for. It writes to these on its own as you work, and it nudges itself to persist things if things matter. You can read them, edit them, or tell it to forget something. This is the compounding bit. Month 3 costs you less prompting than month 1 because it stopped needing the context. Read your memory files once a month. What it chose to remember tells you what it thinks you are. But one memory, one personality, and one set of tools across everything you do, that breaks fast. Which is why profiles exist. A profile is a separate agent. Its own instructions, its own memory, its own tools, and its own permissions. This is the concept with no equivalent in most agent tools, and it's the one that makes Hermes usable in a real business. My content agent has the browser and my writing skills. My client agent has file access and no ability to post anything anywhere. They don't share memory, so client work never leaks into a LinkedIn draft. One agent with everything switched on is a compliance problem waiting to happen. Split it. One profile per job function. Least privilege per profile. Next, how do you teach any of them to do something properly? A skill is an instruction document for one specific job. How to write a proposal your way. How to review a pull request. How to build a carousel. Here's the clever part. The agent only reads the short description of every skill. That's cheap. It only loads the full document when a job actually matches. So you can have hundreds installed without slowing anything down or bloating every request. Hermes ships with roughly 90 already installed. There's another 60 odd you can add, and there's an open hub where people publish their own. They're a shared standard, so a skill written for another agent usually just works here. A skill is you written down. It's the difference between an assistant that does a task and one that does it your way every time without supervision. Skills load on demand. Install generously. It costs you nothing until it's used. So now it knows your rules, your voice, your history, and your jobs. Everything up to here you configured. This next section is different. This is where the agent starts changing itself and working without you in the room. And the first one is the reason I use this thing over anyone else. Now, a quick thing before that, if you've got value out of everything so far, subscribe. I build with this stuff daily and I post what actually works and what wasted my week. Right, concept number 14. This is the one thing Hermes does that almost nothing else does. When it finishes a complicated job, several steps, several tools, it writes itself a skill describing how it did it. Next time something similar comes up, it doesn't work it out again. It reads its own notes. And it goes further. While it's using a skill, if it finds the instructions are wrong or out of date or missing a step, it patches the document mid-job. So the agent you have in month 6 is not the agent you installed. It's the one that learned your business. Every process you'd otherwise pay someone to document, it documents by doing. You don't have to write all your skills yourself. Do the job once with the agent and it writes the skill for you, which creates an obvious problem. An agent writing its own documents forever ends up with a junk drawer. So there's a janitor. The curator is a background process that maintains the skills the agent wrote itself. It tracks which ones actually get used, spots overlapping duplicates, and merges them. Archives the ones that have gone stale and writes you a report of what changed. You can pin the skills you never wanted touching. Is this glamorous? No, it's the least exciting concept in this video. But a self-writing agent with no cleanup produces a swamp in about a month, and then it starts reading bad instructions. Bad skills are worse than no skills because the agent follows them confidently. Run the curator on a schedule and read its report. It's the maintenance nobody mentions. Now, speaking of schedules, cron is scheduling. Normally, that means learning a horrible little syntax of stars and asterisks. Here, you just say, every weekday at 7, do this and message me on Telegram. You can attach specific skills to a job, so the scheduled run uses the right playbook, and it can deliver the output anywhere it's connected. your phone, your team's Slack, your email, Telegram, WhatsApp, you name it. This is the concept that turns Hermes from a tool you open into an employee that shows up. Anything you do on a fixed rhythm, reporting, monitoring, follow-ups, briefs, stops being your job. If you do it weekly and it's boring, it's a cron job. Write it in plain English and Hermes will do it for you. Next, what happens when one agent isn't enough? Your main agent can spawn child agents and hand them work. Now there's two reasons this matters. Speed, 3 research jobs running at once instead of one after another. And focus, each child gets a clean, empty context for its one job, so it isn't wading through your entire conversation to answer a narrow question. A specialist with a clean desk beats a generalist with a cluttered one. They go away, they do the work, and report back to the main agent. This is the difference between an hour of sequential waiting and 4 minutes of parallel work. Delegate anything self-contained. Go read this and come back with findings. Keep the judgment calls in the main thread, but sub-agents only report back up to the parent. When you need them talking to each other, you need a board. This is a task board, the same columns you'd use with a human team. To do, in progress, and done. Except the workers are your Hermes profiles. You drop a job into it. Agents pick up cards, move them across, leave notes on them, and hand work to each other without everything funneling through one central agent. It's stored properly on disk so it survives restarts. A job that was in progress yesterday is still in progress this morning. This is the point where you stop managing an assistant and start running a team you don't pay. Sub-agents for the one job with helpers. The board for ongoing work that outlives a single session. Now, what if you don't want to hand it separate tasks at all? A goal is different from a task. A task is one instruction. A goal is a standing objective the agent keeps working towards across many turns, checking its own progress until it's genuinely done. You might have heard of the Ralph loop, feeding an agent the same prompt over and over until the job's actually finished. This is that, but built in properly. Now be careful with this one. An agent looping on an underspecified goal will happily burn tokens all night achieving nothing. Be specific about what done means before you walk away. This is how people ship whole projects overnight, and also how they wake up to a large bill. Goals need a finish line written into them. Improve the site is not a goal. The next one is invisible and it's saving you money right now. Normally, an agent does a multi-step job one call at a time. Ask for a file, get it back, think, ask for the next one. 10 steps, 10 round trips, 10 times you pay to think. Hermes can instead write a small piece of code that does all 10 steps and run it in one go. So one turn instead of 10. You'll never type this yourself. You just need to know why some jobs finish suspiciously fast, and why you should phrase repetitive work as do this for all 40 of these, rather than feeding them one at a time. The same output, a fraction of the calls. On bulk work, this is the single biggest cost lever there is. Give it the whole batch, not one item at a time. Now the last one in this level, and it's the one that costs nothing to run. A hook is your own code run automatically at a specific moment. When a session starts, when a tool gets used, and when a job finishes. Log everything the agent did today. Post to Slack whenever a cron job fails. Back up a folder every time it's touched. The key thing, hooks are plain code, not the model. They fire every single time, they never improvise, and they cost you nothing in tokens. Anything that must happen reliably should be a hook, not an instruction. Instructions get ignored. Hooks don't. If it's a rule you can't afford it to forget, make it a hook, not a line in your context file. So it configures itself, it teaches itself, scheduled itself, and delegates. Now the last 4, this is how it reaches the rest of your world and how the rest of your world reaches it. Hermes has a second front door. Instead of the terminal, you run a gateway, and then you talk to it from Telegram, WhatsApp, Slack, Discord, Signal, email, even SMS. 20 plus platforms, all from one process. Same agent, same memory, same skills, but just reachable from your pocket. This is the concept that changed how I actually use it. The terminal is where I build things. The phone is where I use them. I message it from a car park and the work is done before I'm home. An agent you can only reach at your desk gets used at your desk. And this is what makes it a full-time thing. Now set up one platform, not 20. Telegram is the easiest to set up and it's enough. That's how you reach it. Next is how it reaches your other software and apps. Your business isn't on your hard drive. It's in Notion, Asana, your CRM, your calendar. MCP is the standard that connected agents to those. You add a server and that app's actions become tools your agent can use. Read from it, write to it, and act in it. And the part people skip, you can filter which one of those tools actually load. Some servers dump 40 tools into your agent, most of which you'll never use, all of which cost you context on every single request. Load the 4 you need. Now this is where automation stops being a demo and starts touching the systems you actually run on. Connect the app, then immediately prune its tools down to what you use. That's your agent reaching out. Next is other software reaching in. A webhook lets another service wake the agent up. Someone opens an issue on your repo, a form on your website gets submitted, a payment lands. That event hits Hermes and it starts a run on its own. No prompt, no schedule, and nobody at a keyboard. Cron is time triggered. Webhooks are event triggered. Together, that's an agent that responds to your business happening rather than waiting to be asked. This is how response times go from hours to seconds on the things your customers actually notice. Schedule the routine and webhook the reactive. Now there's one left, and then we'll go and see what that job I started at the beginning came back with. You can just talk to it, voice in, voice out, in the terminal and through messaging platforms too, so you can send it a voice note and get one back. Is this the most important concept in this video? No, it's the one I'd have called a gimmick a year ago, but dictating a messy, half-formed idea while walking and having a structured brief waiting when I sit down changed my day more than most of the serious features did. The work you never do is the work that needed a keyboard you didn't have. Turn it on for input, even if you never use it for output. Talking beats typing for anything unformed. Right, so that job I started over 20 minutes ago, this is what it did while we talked. It found me 50 new leads to reach out to, complete with detailed information, all based on an existing client that I am working with. It did it in one pass, unattended, what would have cost me the better part of a day. And that's the whole point. None of these 25 concepts is impressive on its own. Skills plus memory plus cron plus the gateway is what turns it into something that works while you don't have to. Now you don't have to try and memorize all of this. Save the video, come back when you hit a word that doesn't make sense. If you want the one that I'd start with, the memory layer is what made everything else click for me, and there's a full build of it. The link is in the description.